Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
This town needs an enema.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
When Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die.
Gotham! This is your liberation.
My mother warned me about getting into cars with strange men.
This isn't a car.
20 years in Gotham. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? He has the power to wipe out the entire human race.
Tell me, do you bleed? You will.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight. I'm Batman.
Let the games begin.
Welcome to the Batman on Film podcast. Here are your hosts, Bill Jett Ramey and Rick Shew.
Hey now, you are listening to Volume 2, Episode 78. I don't want anybody to complain anymore about our podcast because we've done 3 in less than a week. So no more.
We're crazy.
Yes, this is off the chain crazy now on this podcast here at Batman on Film. Volume 2, Episode 78 of the Batman on Film podcast. BOF is a proud member as well as the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network. Check out all the shows, the list of shows at batmanpodcastnetwork.com. I am your podcast host, as well as the founder of Batman on Film, Bill Jett Ramey. With me today is the co-host of this here podcast, Mr. Rick Shew. Rick, hello, sir.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good to hear.
Good.
Likewise, same. And the great BOF roundtablers, Justin Kowalski and Ryan Hoss. Justin, how's things in Southern California?
It's heating up, man. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow. It's supposed to be about 100 degrees or something stupid like that.
You're going to San Diego, right?
I am going to San Diego tomorrow, but still.
It won't be no 100 degrees in San Diego, will it?
No, but you know, it's principles, man. Coming back to 100 degrees, especially going into San Diego and then coming back, that's going to be terrible.
And how far? You're what, 50, 60 miles from L.A.?
Yeah, I'm about 55 miles from L.A.
And the temperature difference is rather significant?
It's hotter out here. So it's usually about 15 degrees cooler in Los Angeles than it is here. It really just depends on what's happening. Sometimes it's the same, but once you get down to the beach, I'm about 35 minutes from the beach. That's nice. But
Yep. All right. And Ryan, how are things in North Carolina?
Things are going well. I'm ready to talk about what we're about to talk about.
Yes. Go ahead.
He's just right to the point.
What's the temperature there?
The temperature here is 89 degrees.
Okay.
And it's hot, but it's supposed to thunderstorm for like the next week after this. So
we had a little, and we'll get to the show in a second, but I like my weather talk. We had,
I was just gonna say we have a nice little rundown.
We had like a very mild beginning to June where we had some 60s for lows and then barely 80s, and then now Texas summer is said enough of that shit because I'm here now, and we're starting to get to our typical Southeast Texas summer, I believe. So we are here. This is a kind of sort of emergency podcast, I guess. We just on the fly said, you know what, we need to talk about something. And that something is that there has been another major change to Justice League. Danny Elfman is coming on board. He is replacing Junkie XL as the film's composer. And it's big news, boys. I know. Yeah, that's a big deal. Rick, you had a great tweet this morning about the film score. Do you recall what that was, sir?
I do. I just said that the score is a major character. In fact, it's a lot of characters.
Yep.
And so when you're changing a composer, that fundamentally changes the film on just about every level. So if you think that this is not that big of a deal, or if he's just coming in to do some filler stuff for the extra scenes, because that would make a lot of sense to have convoluted, music like that, to have two different composers just randomly all of a sudden Danny Elfman scoring just random scenes at the very end of the movie or whatever. And that's not the case.
That's not how film scoring works either.
That's not how film scoring works. No, I'm seeing a lot of tweets about that saying, well, he's only, Danny Elfman's only scoring the new scenes that's ridiculous. They would not do that. It would be a complete, what's the best word for it? It would just be a cluster F.
A cluster F.
It'd be a cluster F. So if you don't think that this is a big deal, well, I'm sorry to tell you that it's a big deal. And I think it's a big deal for the better. I think all these changes are for the better. So for me, I'm excited about it. But if you've been one of the people that have not understood or acknowledged that there's been, issues with the film or whatever, just please take this moment and say, Batman on film, you guys really aren't bullshitters. I'm sorry.
All right. Can I read Junkie XL's statement to the Hollywood Reporter? Can I read that?
And this came out, I mean, I've seen a lot less of Danny Elfman's just doing the new stuff after this Junkie XL thing. This makes it pretty clear if the THR article wasn't clear enough.
It says, this is Mr. Junkie XL, as my mentor, Hans Zimmer, told me, you haven't made it in Hollywood as a composer until you get replaced on a project. So I guess I finally graduated this week. It pains me to leave the project, but a big thanks to Zach for asking me to be part of his vision, and I wish Danny, Joss, and Warner Brothers all the best with Justice League. Okay, boys.
Replace. So let's think about that word for a moment. If you're shooting some new scenes and that person's just doing those new scenes, you're not really kind of replacing the person. You're just adding on to something that wasn't planned in the first place, right? Replace means you're done. You're out.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't mean it to be rude. I have nothing against that composer. I wish him well. And I'm just saying that's just the reality of the business.
That is what it is. This is the truth.
It is what it is. Right. I'm not trying. I don't mean to sound like I'm gloating or I'm being an ass. I'm gloating a little bit that we have been correct about this, but that's okay. But aside from that, I'm not gloating that this gentleman has been handed his hat, so to speak. I hope that the film benefits from this change, and I, for one, welcome it. And so let's just, at this point, we're all just like, we want a great Justice League movie, and I'm getting more and more excited about it.
Look, I wrote a story this morning. I found out yesterday evening, thanks to my professional tweeters here at Batman on Film, or I say not tweeters, my professional texters, who when I wake up to 97 text in each morning. I read it and I said, you know what? I got to think about this before I start putting pen to paper, so to speak, and wrote something this morning. So if you want to find out what I wrote, find it on you can find it on Batman on Film. But it is, and that's what I wanted Rick to bring up his tweet. I thought it was an awesome tweet, and it said everything you really needed to say. This is a big deal because the score is so important, and it's clear to me that it's going to reflect they want something different to reflect the tone of the film.
Yeah.
Whatever he did before. So, if you want to read what I thought, go to Batman on Film. I really want you three guys to talk a little more about it than me, and I'll just kind of, facilitate here. So, Justin, what was your thoughts, dude?
Yeah. Well, man, I thought it was a joke when I first heard it because it seemed because, again, we talked about it. I think in Texas, I think me and Rick talked about it in the car.
We talked about it when I was over there at Rick's house too.
Okay, about the theme, because we were like, man, you know what would be amazing if they just brought back all the themes that kind of remind you of who these characters are. Because when you think of Superman, I tend to go to that music as the first thing I hear, the John Williams score, and same with Batman and so on and so forth. And so hearing that yesterday got me a little excited. Now, I don't think they're going to go and use the Elfman theme from '89, but personally, I wouldn't be opposed if there was hints of that, because it triggers something in me that, to me, like that's like Batman's theme. It works so well outside of the '89 movie. You know, Shirley Walker used it in the Batman animated series. It's been used in some of the Lego video games. That theme is, you know, outside of like current movies and stuff, they use it a lot in marketing and things like that when you're talking about Batman. So there is like an emotional connection to that, and it could remind you of the good things that you had associated with Batman before. So I got really excited about it. I'm just really curious as to what's going to happen. It is like what Rick said. I was talking to my friend Matt about that yesterday. The exact same lines is, this is a new character that's been added to the movie. You know, it's really, really telling, because what came out in the trailer with that's what we were talking about yesterday, Ryan, was the Junkie XL helped, you know, produce that Come Together Beatles cover. So that's indicative of his style and tone and music that they're going for. And that's not Elfman at all. Elfman's on the other side of the spectrum. So big orchestral, you know, brassy, that's what we're going to get. And so I'm excited to hear what that's going to sound like.
Very good. Ryan, I know you got a lot to say about this, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what you were saying, Justin. I mean, even in that original Justice League trailer we got, it wasn't score music, but it was, you know, a cover of a song, and it was produced by Junkie XL too. So I was led to the assumption that they might be doing some stuff like that, this rock vibe or whatever, all this, you know, all this music we've been hearing in conjunction with Justice League.
Yeah.
To create a certain vibe, a certain tone. And make no mistake, a score of a film is one of the huge indicators of tone for a film. I mean, you add music or take music away from a movie, and it can drastically change what you feel about it. I don't know exactly how I feel about reusing certain older themes. I mean, Danny Elfman even has a Flash theme. You know, he did the theme for the Flash in the TV show in the 90s. So there's, if you want to provide an immediate emotional connection to some of this stuff, I mean, the Elfman Batman theme or even the John Williams Superman theme, that would do it really quickly if you're trying to get to some sort of a, you know, the Force Awakens, Star Wars kind of thing, like bringing you back to things that you felt before kind of thing. But, and on one hand, I feel like, well, maybe this is kind of the right time to do something like that, because Justice League is this kind of culmination of a lot of iconic figures that you know about. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, you know, they've been trying to build to something with the DCEU, and I wouldn't want to see that kind of ruined. I mean, they've got a Superman theme, they've got a Batman theme, they've got a great Wonder Woman theme. So
yeah.
And the thing is, you know,
do they have a Batman theme?
Yeah, they do.
Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah. Very, very forgettable. I love the man. I love Superman's theme. I love it.
There's another Batman theme in BVS other than that driving one that I like better. It's on the soundtrack. You can find it, but I just think that, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what Elfman can do. I mean, he can do both. He can, because he did help out with Avengers: Age of Ultron. He can do kind of the ubiquitous standard kind of score for an action adventure superhero movie, but he can obviously also do very nice themes for individual characters that intertwine, that make sense in the fabric of the entire movie and stuff. So I think it just comes down to the tone, the time he has, and frankly what Joss Whedon is kind of doing with Justice League at this point, because Whedon was the one that brought Elfman in. So, and from everything I've read about Elfman, he does not do a film score unless he has the right hook and the right kind of collaboration with the director. He's a very director-focused composer, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love the Batman 89 theme. I love the John Williams Superman theme and so forth, but I don't want them to bring that back. I really like the Man of Steel music. that Hans Zimmer came up with for Man of Steel.
Yeah, it's
and
great.
Yeah, I think we dig the Wonder Woman. That awesome. You know what? I was reading about that theme, and it's very. They were inspired by the Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his wail, Robert Plant's wail at the beginning. I can't sing, so whatever.
that was great.
We get it. It's pretty good.
So, but yeah, I did read that. It was it was interesting. So anyway, but back to the point. Danny Elfman's not going to come on board this movie to, quote unquote, help out or
do another person's score. Yeah.
Yeah. I keep hearing, I just read a gentleman's tweet that says, well, he's probably coming on board just to do Aquaman and Cyborg's theme. I'm like, well, okay, exactly. What? Come on, dude. I'm like, it is what it is. This is, how can I say this? This is just as significant as Joss Whedon finishing this film.
Yeah.
It is. And it is an indication that the changes being made to Justice League are significant. Mm-hmm. Whether some people write and say that otherwise, I don't care. I'm telling you what's going on. Mm-hmm. If you want to believe it, you can believe it. If you don't want to believe it, that's fine too. Because, like Rick has said, I've said repeatedly on my articles on Batman on Film, both of you guys, Justin and Ryan, have said it. All we care about, if this damn film is good in November, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I don't care how many cooks were in the kitchen, long as the meal is excellent. We're not going to worry about how it was put together.
Yeah.
So, but I just, I don't know what to say about the folks who just, this is just nothing. This, blah, blah, blah. These are standard pickups. And no, they're not just standard pickups. No, replacing a composer is not, it's not a big deal. I guess that's the best way to say it. So, Rick or Ryan, go ahead, dude.
This is all, and it's good stuff. And it's clear that Warner Brothers is just doing everything they can to make Justice League the best movie that it can be in the circumstances and the time they have. And, I don't think it's healthy for us to, try to say, Joss Whedon he's making Zack's movie. Well, yeah, I mean, Zack started it and everything, but to assume or hope or think that everything Joss Whedon's doing is just trying to default to whatever Snyder would do. I don't think that Whedon's on the set being like, okay, well, how would Zack do this? And I don't think Zack would want him to do that. Joss Whedon defaulting to whatever Snyder would do is very stifling creatively. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I work in the video game industry, and I could tell you that if it was me in the same situation or a video game project or something, that you really at some point have to just kind of, if a director changes or new management comes on or whatever, you kind of have to just, the people working on it, you have to kind of trust them to make those creative decisions. And, Joss Whedon is not Zack Snyder. I mean, so we kind of have to, he's picked up the ball. We have to let him do what he's going to do to finish the movie and trust that that's going to happen and let him make the film and finish it. So
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to do a tonal shift here, but how do you guys think that Joss Whedon is going to be credited on this film?
You know what? Someone asked me that this morning, and I asked someone who knows more about that kind of stuff than me, and they said it'll be up to the guild.
That's what I was wondering, if there is a guild or because we all know there's a big arbitration kind of thing for writing, but it's not as big of a thing for directing because these kind of things usually don't happen.
Yeah. So that's what I was told. It would be up to the guild.
Well, I think back on Superman and what it took to get Richard Lester credited as director.
Yeah.
Filming it was back in Superman 2. That's what I'm referring to.
You had to shoot a certain percentage, right?
It was a percentage, right? And I don't remember what it was, and it's probably different now. I just don't know. I'm just curious because he is fundamentally changing this film, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean when nothing solidifies that statement more than him changing composers.
Yeah.
I would. Okay, this is what I was going to bring up when you interjected there, Rick. But it's really on this. It's on the same vein here we're talking about. It's probably. Would you agree or disagree, or what's your thoughts about this? That Joss, they said, Joss, come on in here. Here's what we got. Got any ideas what you would do? Where would you go? What would you, just what's your thoughts as a filmmaker?
Yeah.
Because I think, wouldn't that be the only way to want to get it attached and come on board if you have some sort of creative, I want to say creative control and yes, investment. Great word. Any thoughts about that?
I don't think anyone wants to come in to clean up somebody else's situation. And I'm not trying to say clean up, but you want to put your thumb on it. You want to put your, here's what I would do. Exactly what you guys said.
You have to be able to do your job. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just coming in to finish the movie, they could have brought a studio guy. If you want a certain, take, you bring in Joss Whedon. He's known for certain things. So obviously he's going to do the things that he's good at, that he likes. And maybe if he's screened the movie, he might go, oh, and they've already said he's been writing, for a while now, that he's been writing parts for the film. So maybe he saw a bunch of parts where it would be great. This would connect to this way better. So let's add this, let's do this. And there could have been studio edicts too. Like, hey, we want to add more Superman. We want to do this. True. And so he's going to do it the way he does it. And it would be weird if it was disjointed with what, Zach has already done. So, and I think they even said that it's not like he's going to adhere to what Zach did, but he's not going to do anything that's like sticks out like a sore thumb, because then that's going to be obvious. So I think he's going to honor what was done, add to it, maybe it's just in dialogue and maybe not in shooting style. Because I'm sure he's probably going to use, Zach's guy. What's the guy's name? That his director of photography. He's probably using the same crew. It's just a different guy sitting in a chair, And so,
is it like a situation where, say, it's like a television show and you're halfway through the season and then they change like showrunners, and it's like they still have to adhere to what they've done before and not change it completely, but they can kind of shape it a little bit more as they go along.
I think that's good. That's a good way of putting it.
Well, I'm not going to bring it up specifically. I mean, there's an elephant in the room that I think if you're listening, you know what we're talking about, and we don't want to disrespect anyone, but we also need to be a little bit realistic here. And this, the point is, now at this point, we got to talk about it as it being Joss Whedon's film. And whoever gets credit, I'm sure that it'll be directed by Zack Snyder. When the credits roll, I could be completely wrong, but I don't know why it wouldn't. And there's a lot of reasons for that, political and other, but, we're just...
Yeah, there's no way they're taking his name off of it.
No.
My question is, would there be a co-director credit? Does an assistant director?
I don't know, Rick. I mean...
And what do you
think, man?
I think that I can't imagine. Okay, here's two things I can't imagine. And are these things mutually inclusive or mutually exclusive? I don't know. But for one, I can't imagine them getting rid of Zack Snyder's name. For a lot of different reasons, out of respect for him, especially the hell that he went through, I think that would be, let's just be honest, that would be very bad politics for them to do that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's all I want to say about that, because that's a very touchy subject. Anyway, and then at the same time, I can't, and by the way, he may have, aside from just that tragedy, have every right to have his name as director. I'm not implying that's the only reason. I'm just saying that, there's a multitude of reasons why they won't take his name off, and that's certainly one of them. Okay, so then the second thing is, but I also can't imagine Joss Whedon coming in, doing all this work, having he's as high profile as he is, and not getting some recognition and credits. That's also something I can't see.
Yeah, so his name will be in it too. I mean, it'll have to be somehow.
There has to be something.
I mean, what you could maybe give him an executive producer credit. I mean, there's stuff like that. But let's look.
I don't know. Has there been a time? I'm trying to think of a film. Has there been there's like
I don't know, man.
There's the Coen brothers. There's two people. Maybe this film was directed by Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I could bring up the Mario Brothers movie example of how no, it's true. I mean, the film got 70% done. The directors were asked to leave the project, and then a group of people, like some producers and the CG supervisor and the production designer, all kind of banded together and finished the film in their levels of expertise and shooting and stuff. But they weren't given that kind of credit, and the original directors eventually just got credit and stuff like that. But I also want to try to think. I mean, I've been seeing some comments like, well, it's all okay because Zack Snyder obviously approved Joss Whedon to do this, or Zack Snyder will get final say on the cut, or, nothing that Joss does, like, isn't going to be approved unless it's through Zack Snyder and stuff. And I'm just like, no. I mean, he stepped away from the film, and whatever Joss does is what's going to happen. I mean, I don't think that there's I'm sure that if Snyder wants to see stuff or gets screenings of the film, that stuff can happen. But don't think that every decision that Joss Whedon does is still having to be overseen or looked at by Snyder. That's just not the case. No, he's doing what he was hired to do. Joss Whedon I'm talking about, and he's not. You're right. The one's going, okay, we're about to do this. Let's look at the Bible of Zack Snyder and see what he would do in this case. I mean it with all due respect to Zack Snyder. So, but that's just not a healthy way to make a film or be.
No,
great. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Exactly. So, well, all I can say, guys, is a lot of changes on Justice League. This has been since before it was made. Since before it was made, and it seems to be continuing on. And like we said, we just want the film to be good. That's it. I mean, let me get this across to everyone who says that, specifically, usually me, I hate the Justice League. I hate the DCU. I hate Zack Snyder. I hate whoever. How many times, guys, Ryan, you're always good at this, pointing out things that I say. even the articles I've written about the changes, I've been positive in them.
Sure.
Am I delusional here, or did I say positive things in those articles? It may not be positive things that some folks want to hear, but like the truth. But
hey,
but I have said many times, I take this as good things, and I take this as Warner Brothers, and I gave them credit. They're doing everything they can to make this film good. That's the bottom line. So, anyway, Rick, final thoughts on this whole deal?
My final thoughts are, look, I can't remember the last time that Danny Elfman, what's the last great score that he did in you guys' view? It's been a while, right? But I feel like
you're good at that. What would you say?
But I think
I've heard things he's done. I mean, he's shifted in the past few years away from the kind of very blatant or themes for characters and more of an overall thing. I mean, he like I said, he worked on Avengers: Age of Ultron, and the last score I know that I heard him do was he did the Alice in the Looking Glass sequel, and it was good. It fit the needs of the movie, but it wasn't. I don't feel like it was quite as a splash as his original score for first Alice in Wonderland was. But Elfman is absolutely one of the best composers of all time, and I'm sure the film's in good hands with Whedon right now, and the film's in good hands with Elfman, and the director and composer relationship is very important, and whatever happens is going to kind of it's only going to help make the film what it needs to be moving forward, in my opinion.
Well, and what I was going to say is that, and thank you, Ryan, that was well said. I haven't been that excited about anything he's done in a while, but I think this is right in his wheelhouse. This is perfect. This is the comeback kid thing for him as well, to put himself back on the map. I'm very
there's got to be something interesting for him to be like, ooh,
yes,
coming back to Batman.
And let's face it, he's also not working with Tim Burton, and I love Tim Burton, but I think that there's something to be said for that as well. Let's see what kind of, because the Batman, especially Batman Returns, was you take away the main theme, but all the new music that he composed for that film was very Tim Burton-esque. That's what the whole thing was, right?
It's a good, you know what? I don't like that film, but the music is good for those terms.
I think that theme is the better of the Batman themes.
I do too.
It's great. It's great. And he's great. I just feel like that this is it. This is his calling. And I think that we're in great hands. So I'm going to end it like this. I have not been excited for Justice League. I have not been shy about saying that. Wonder Woman has renewed my faith in the DCEU, and that's a very positive thing. As I was sitting watching Wonder Woman both times in the theater that I've seen it, I saw the Justice League trailer, and I just sat there and just was not interested at all. Just watched it to get through it, waiting for the film to start. I am right now today, as I speak, I am excited for Justice League. Now I'm excited because it needed to change the direction it was going in. And I feel like Peter, I'm going to butcher his last name, so somebody help me out.
Mr. Vera?
Vera.
Is it just Vera? Is that how it's not Vera?
Vera.
Is that an extra syllable there? Okay, I thought that's easy. Peter Vera. I think that his tweet today was on the nose, and I'm going to paraphrase. It just essentially said, "Hey, those first two trailers of Justice League that you saw, that's really not the film that we're going to get." And I think that's probably well said.
True.
Yeah. That's a good analysis right there. Well done, Peter.
And Peter, right. sorry about your last name, buddy. I love you.
Peter Vera, sir.
Vera.
Yes.
Vera.
You keep wanting to put an I in there.
I know. I'm way overthinking.
Yeah.
I'm going to text him here in a minute and say, "Hey, listen to the podcast today."
Peter, I'm sorry about Rick.
I'm typing it right now.
It's not. Please don't lock me into the mispronouncing your name. All right, Justin. Final thoughts.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited. I'm excited for the movie in general. I mean, if you've heard the show, I've been on the side of I'm just excited that there's a Justice League movie, but stuff like this.
Are you more excited? Are you more excited with the changes obviously they're. Yeah, that's
it's I want the movie to be good, and if they say that all these things are going to make a better movie, like you said earlier in the show, if you're gonna have all the cooks in the kitchen, they better make something great. And sometimes that could be muddy because Green Lantern turned out to be a mess. They had all these different people working on it. I'm really hoping that all the eyes on this project are looking at the right things, and from hearing the guy who saw the screening, he said he liked what he saw. So that made me feel good. And the fact that they're, shooting some new stuff. Joss Whedon's known for, he's good with dialogue and being a script doctor. So, I mean, he has some, credibility in that sense. I like Zack Snyder's style. I like his visual style. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's created there. And I'm hoping all that put together creates something great. And one of the things that I have always said is Zack Snyder, great at visuals. He just needs help with the story. And I'm hoping what Whedon was able to do was help out in that area, and that the final product is a great marriage of both, visions. So, I'm moving forward, and then Danny Elfman is just the icing on the cake. I really like what he's done in the past, and I'm hoping that he does something else that's memorable, because Justice League needs to have a theme that when you leave the theater, you distinctly are going to go, "That's the Justice League theme. I know that theme."
Yeah, it does. It needs a Justice League theme. That's a great point. Ryan, anything else to add?
My final question or thought is, what will Justice League look like? What will Justice League look like the next time we see it, marketing wise, tone wise? The next time we get a trailer, will we get stuff at Comic-Con, or the next time we get a trailer, will it be all this rock music, or will it reflect the tone of what's happening?
It has to be.
I would assume.
Yeah, not necessarily. The tone, because not the look, everything we've seen now has been woohoo, look how much fun we're having. We're jokey and cool, and everything is fucking awesome. A blast, dude. Awesome.
I'm not saying we're not going to see Danny. We might not even see Danny Elfman score in the next trailer. I'm just saying that Whatever the
I would say
reshifting is, we'll see it next time.
Visual, I would say visual. What's going to be interesting, and this could go on and on, but I'm just going to bring it up. We'll talk about it later. It's going to be interesting when they get to the publicity for this film and how I'm talking about the filmmakers and the actors going out and doing their thing during the junket and whatnot to see how
all the
that's
questions are
handled.
going to be asked. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I'll be front and center. That should be interesting. All right, Rick, plug something. Go.
Follow me on Twitter, ShewRick, ShewRick. Please follow me on Facebook at Batman on Film Shews, SHEW''S, and be sure to tune in. We're going to be recording our 5th Star Wars show this weekend, and we're going to talk about those nasty prequels that Justin loves. Too bad Justin won't be there to tell us about how he hates episodes 1's C-SPAN crawl, because that's a great line. We're gonna miss you, buddy, but it's gonna be a fiery good show.
I purposely scheduled my Legoland trip just so I could avoid it.
I hate you.
All right, Justin.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at J_Rocka, and if you would like to hear more about the Wonder Woman movies, we did a show here on Batman on Film, and then I did a 2-parter through Let's Go and Let's Go Comic Show, and we had our wives on, and it was just funny to hear our wives talk and try to be on a podcast, because that's just funny in and of itself. So if you want to laugh and hear about Wonder Woman, check those out. Just go to letsgocast.com, and I would really appreciate it.
Did you like my tribute to Linda Carter in our Wonder Woman podcast? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I spun around.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ryan?
Well, speaking of our Wonder Woman show, Rick mentioned about how much he loved Twitter, which I found really funny. So, like Rick, I also love Twitter. And you can follow me on Twitter at SMB_Ryan. So catch me there, talk about this stuff. It's a lot of fun. I have noticed a lot of people that don't follow me trying to talk to me about some of the podcast stuff, but if you don't follow me, Twitter has a tendency of not showing me what you're saying. So if you want to talk to me, at least follow me so I can see what you're saying. So just do that and follow the Everyone Loves the Tim Drake Robin podcast I'm a part of at ELTD podcast on Twitter.
Yes, the Wonder Woman podcast was good, and our Adam West tribute podcast was really awesome, I thought. So thanks for everybody for being part of it, and thanks for everybody out there who has listened. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't, please listen. And give us feedback, review us on iTunes, do all that stuff too. So, for Justin, Ryan, and Ricky Joe Shew, I am Bill. Announcer Rachel will take us out, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey now! You've been listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. You can listen to the BOF podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Want to advertise on the BOF podcast? Go to advertisecast.com/the Batman on Film Con podcast. Follow Jett on Twitter at Batman on Film and on BOF's Facebook fan page at facebook.com/Jett.BatmanOnFilm. Email Jett via Jett@batman-on-film.com. Follow Rick on Twitter at ShewRick and on Facebook at facebook.com/BOF-Shew. For Jett, Rick, Justin, and Ryan, I'm announcer Rachel. Thanks for listening.